Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to The Round Table, streaming every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 9 p.m. GMT. Thank you all for joining me. I will be joined by Andre from Midnight's Edge. He is just a little bit waylaid. But the topic for today, ladies and gents, is, of course, the Gina Carano interview. I anticipate this being a relatively long stream. We'll be discussing the Gina Carano interview, the ins and outs of that, my thoughts, Andre's thoughts, your thoughts in the chat, as well as the incredibly subtle new Joker image and some reveals from the Vanity Fair article about Justice League. So welcome, ladies and gents, welcome. Yes, I have curly hair. Deal with it. Yeah, no, we'll be having Andre on soon. So welcome. Thank you all for joining me. Again, a little bit of a sort of a waylaid one today. Dan Tucker dropping on actually just from the patron Skype hangout that I do for patrons. Thank you so much, dude. Glad you enjoyed it. It was good fun as always. So first things first, whilst we're waiting here for Andre to drop on, as well as everyone else who will inevitably want to drop onto this stream as well, what do you guys think about the interview? It's there. It's for free on Ben Shapiro's YouTube channel. Now, I sat down yesterday and watched it. It's a little over an hour. What's the general census from people? What do you all think of it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Let me know. I'd be genuinely curious to hear. Casual stream? No, it won't be too casual. Not at all. Jesus Joker. Yeah. We're not talking about a GVK interview. We're talking about the Gina Carano interview. That's the title of this video. So, yeah, I want to get the general opinion from people. Your Muslim uncle says, thank you for your defense of her days ago. It's why I'm here. She was genuine, and I like her even more now. Well, thank you for joining, my dude. And yeah, I will say that, yeah, I absolutely came across massively genuine. And also, it seemed like a toll had been taken on her from it all. That's kind of what I got from it all. Disney may have fired the sweetest woman alive. Such garbage. Garbage. Yeah, I need the Muff Cabbage South Park clip to come over here. Alejandro, she isn't doing satanic rituals like other celebs, so she is getting the boot. Nice little boot emoji there. Cool, like it. Smash that like button, says Bright Glory. Yes, please do. Also, if you want to get your comment, because obviously when I start chit-chatting with Andre, I'll only take intermittent sort of moments to take a look at the super chats. But if you want to support the channel, you want to get your point across, use the super chat function. It literally helps keep the lights on here doing what I do for you all, because YouTube is not particularly good. You may have realized actually today, I think my second only ever advert that I've taken on the channel. I try not to do paid ad spots, but I accepted one from NordVPN for my Godzilla video, which I put out a few hours ago now. My second only one. And that's mainly just because the YouTube's not particularly good at this moment. Adam York, hi. Where are you going? Working Bojo here. You tagged me in that on Instagram. That was hilarious. Absolutely loved that. That was brilliant. Right, so Roman King loved it. Goes to show that actors generally on the left can express any opinion, like racist comments towards whites, while never having any backlash or punishment from Disney. Yeah, I mean, look, I think ultimately the bias was very clear to see anyway for anyone that isn't, blinkered to it all. It was very clear as day anyway. But I'll touch on this with Andre, because I want to get into a little bit more, but I was disappointed by the content of the interview. She came across fantastic and the things she was saying were great. But I wanted more. That's all I wanted. I wanted a little bit more because touching on things like bullying is very subjective. It's not a clearly definable thing because it's like abuse, right? It's like claims of abuse. It's very person dependent. So I was a little bit ashamed. I was a little bit like, that's a shame. Like I wanted a bit more details. Because then I can cast a judgment. I can make my mind up on certain people and how they act and things like that. But for the most part, it was a great interview. It very clearly served a purpose for Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, but it was still a good interview. I don't think anyone can watch that and say, "Oh yeah, she came across like crap." Like she was great. She genuinely came across very, very well. Chris Raposo wanted to thank you for the entertaining weekend. Binge Alien Isolation playlist to catch up. Well, thank you. I'm glad you've been enjoying it. To anyone, just again before Andre gets here and we really dive into the topic today, to anyone who has been enjoying, thank you so much for the $5 as well. But to anyone who's been enjoying the Alien Isolation, sorry that it jumped a little bit and changed because the resolution cocked up everything. I don't know what happened. A lot of people have been telling me like, oh, maybe it's your RAM. My computer's 32 gig of RAM and it will handle Doom Eternal on like 60 frames a second. It's a good computer. I think it's just because it's an old game and sort of up to whatever doesn't really work, sadly. John Davies, Miss Age Reviews, is she not currently still under NDAs from the Mouse of House? Yes, probably, but that's for actual business things, not talking about abuse. And if there are claims of abuse and things like that, a contract has likely been broken from their side as well. But we'll touch on that. We've got our guest now, ladies and gents. Andre is here. How are we doing?
Greetings. I'm good, thank you. How about yourself? And how's everyone in the chat?
Very, very good. We've got some people, I think, from your stream dropping on here. I
Brilliant.
think.
Glad to hear it.
So listen, first and foremost, I'm going to put my headphones in so you don't get an echo. And everyone watching doesn't get an echo. Right, there we go. What did you think of the interview, Andre? That's the main topic today, as well as the Justice League stuff. What did you think of the interview? Was it a good interview? Was it a bad interview?
I thought it was a perfectly okay interview. Because there's like two things to it. One is that Gina is obviously under an NDA, and that right there means that there are some restrictions to what she can say. However, within those restrictions, I think she was able to say a lot of good. She was able to explain the context of all of the tweets that she has been gaslit and misrepresented over. She was able to tell her side of what happened from her point of view within Disney, while staying within the boundaries of the NDAs that she has signed. And perhaps most importantly, she was able to show a little bit of herself. That this is not a mean-spirited person in any way, shape, or form, and that this was really, really tough on her. This is not a laughing matter. So she was able to show herself as a human. So those are the good parts. As for the interview beyond that, I thought that Shapiro could have digged a little bit more. There were like things where if I had been the one conducting the interview, where I would have asked a little bit more, like explore this a little bit deeper. And what do you mean by that? There were like times when she said something and kind of like left something hanging, something that kind of like invited further prodding. And he just moved straight on to the next topic of the agenda. I thought that was weak, but that's on Shapiro.
Tom's become a member of the channel. Cheers, Tom. Appreciate it, dude. Listen. So I have a different view, somewhat the same, but the reasoning is somewhat different. So I thought it was fine interview. The interview itself, how she came across, was perfect. She was a very, very likable person, as we know her to be anyway. Very professional, such a personable individual, you know, in how she comes across, and just a well-rounded, nice, likable individual. That's how she comes across, like a likable person, and I like that. It's good. She doesn't seem like a traditional stuck-up Hollywood type, and she's not. Like, we know that anyway. Now, where I disagree is that she was under any specific NDA. I don't think she would have been, not for these type of things. And being
she would be under NDA for even after the employment situation ends. She still cannot give in like any details of the operations and stuff like that.
But the contract is over.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I know that, for instance, where I am in my business, where I have to sign NDAs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
they're valid for years afterwards.
Absolutely. But you're talking about very specific company related things. I'm talking about her NDAs don't pertain to abuse from people. It doesn't pertain to partisan behavior from the higher ups, right? That's not what the NDA stands for. It's not what the NDA looks to cover up. An NDA in that business will be, you know, don't talk about this, don't talk about how we procure this, don't talk about the origins of this, the finances of this, and it'll be those kind of things, that sort of element of the business specifically. I can't imagine it would be covering anything to do with abuse. So that's where I disagree about the NDA anyway. And that's where, unfortunately, I feel that I feel like you said, Ben Shapiro as an interviewer, and obviously what they've set up previously of what they want to talk about, because it would have been somewhat scripted to a certain degree. Like, make no mistake, there would be, is this okay to talk about? Yes. They'd have a lawyer there, or maybe not, that sort of thing. We can't underestimate that, no matter how much we like Gina Carano. I think ultimately was that some of it wasn't, they needed to go into a bit more details, because like one of the main reasons I really don't support anything currently that Ray Fisher is spouting off about is it's been going on for so bloody long and he's never said anything. There's been no details. There's been nothing. The main difference with Gina is that it was out in the open anyway, so we could see the partisan hypocrisy from certain colleagues and how Disney handled them. But the other stuff that she claimed, I wanted details on, because I have to just write it off as, well, I can't believe you at this point. Like, I'm not going to believe you unless I hear details, because it's personal perception. And that's across the board. I'm the same with Ray Fisher. I'm going to have to be the same with Gina. So that's my view. I don't know whether you have anything sort of to add to that specifically.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very fair view, especially as pertaining to Kryborg.
But I will say this. Like the fact that Gina literally gets fired, gets a new job, and then goes, I'm going to do an interview straight away. Leagues above what Kryborg's been doing. He's been rabbiting on about, I've got the receipts, bro. No one cares about your receipts unless they can see them. No one cares. Yeah. So anyway, just as an FYI.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that we are probably going to get more specifics in time, but I think that for this interview right here, I agree with you completely. Lawyers would have been there and cleared. This we can say, this we can see, this you can say, be vague about this, to not even allude to this and stuff like that. I think that was going on there, but so I think it was good, but I would have liked more, both in what she offered and certainly in what he asked.
Yeah, because that was really lacking on.
I thought he was really weak.
His interview. I don't watch Ben Shapiro, right? I've only seen him on the little 5-minute clips of Ben Shapiro destroys, child teenager. That's basically all he comes up with on YouTube for me. But as my first experience of him as an interviewer, I thought he sucked. Like, I was very disappointed by him as an interviewer. There was nothing there. Like, he didn't get involved anyway. Nothing.
Yeah.
Have you heard from Dave Filoni, or Jon Favreau? Like, have they reached out to you? Has anyone reached out to you since this? I mean, that would have been one fucking question to ask straight away, surely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she kind of answered that that everyone is afraid they can't support me because then they're next. And also I think that if he had done that, I think that that's something that we're in agreement. If we do this, and say for instance, if she were to say, "Yeah, Carl Weathers, he told me that this is awful. He's completely behind me." If she had said that in public, Carl Weathers would be gone tomorrow, which he might be anyway.
Well, no. So look, I, I feel ultimately I never expected her to say people who supported her. Right, I would never expect that on an interview like this because of how they act, how partisan they are. That's not what I'm saying. But when you specifically say, this person's done that and this person's done that, like, or this, like, at least name the artist, right? So in part of the interview, she mentioned how an artist had scrubbed her out, right? But that's public, so just name the artist. Name the artist. Name the person that did this to you. Name the person that was told to do this and was bragging about it, right? That's what I would have liked a little bit more of, personally. I think that would have been good. So yeah, I never expected. Never expected any of the, this person supported me and this person's reached out. The whole point of the interview was to explain how partisan it was, and we knew that anyway. But at least point out more and more of the people that have actually said or partook in the negative sort of partisan behavior, I guess. Have we lost you, Andre?
Yeah, no, I'm here. No, but I agree. It was beyond softball from Shapiro's part. It was softball to the point of I was disappointed with everything he just left hanging that he really should have asked follow-up questions on, that he could have in the exact same vein of the interview that they were, without even going into like revealing any more information, just exploring what was already there. Like, for instance, like, just something like, well, can you mention like an example without mentioning names? Like, mention a situation.
Yeah, give us a scenario. Give us something.
Exactly.
I would have liked that.
Exactly, because as it was, Deadline Hollywood, they kind of like, I think they tried to like sabotage it and basically on Friday, the day before it was made available even to subscribers there, they revealed what turned out to be the best bits of the interview.
Yeah,
put it right there.
I was disappointed by that because I sat down. I sat down to watch it. I thought I'll give some time to this. I'll see, right? Because I thought to myself, well, there won't be a transcript available, so I'll sit down and watch it and make some notes. I'll do my own transcript, and I was like, there's nothing to make notes on.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing that was there. So I was, because like we made a video based on the Deadline Hollywood story that came out on Friday. Like, this is some of the things that's going to come out, and the initial plan was then afterwards we're going to go and dissect everything she said, and there's no more.
Yeah,
it's we basically covered it, and we have she was like really emotional and stuff, and there's really not much more to cover. So like it was like my initial reactions was like a 3-minute video. It was like the shortest video we ever done almost on something that should have been bigger.
Yeah, and just to clarify, everyone, like we're only this is called being objective, right? We've said we like her, we like the interview, we like how she came across, right? But this is just being objective, just having actually picking it apart. Just because you can't allow, we can't be partisan in our behavior of dissecting things, basically, because that would be wrong. Like, you come to us for critical, objective discussion, right? So that's what we're doing here. We're not trying to rip on or anything like this. We are just trying to say, hey, look, great interview, it was really, really good. However, it would have been better to have some of this. And in fairness, like I said, like you said, like I've said, I think a lot of it came from Ben Shapiro. He should have Yeah, he should have gone into it a little bit more.
Yeah, he was the weak link, not her.
Yeah, because I feel like she probably would have opened up a little bit more, at least if the questions were posed in a way where no names were needed.
If she had been asked to, imagine if Joe Rogan had done it. Imagine how he would have nailed it compared to him. Because Ben Shapiro, I think he's an excellent political pundit. He's funny and stuff like that. Probably because half the stuff he says in his daily shows is scripted. But as an interviewer, I haven't seen too many interviews of it. But this one, which honestly should be like the biggest interview of his career thus far.
It's had nearly 2 million views in a day.
Yeah, it has that many now. It had 300,000 last I checked.
Oh, really?
Okay. Well, that's brilliant. Well, that's how it should perform. Good. It needs to have much more than that. But give it time.
Let me have a look. 1.7 million. Yeah, so nearly 2 million views.
Yeah. Well, good. Getting there. Then.
I think he was somewhat smitten talking to her. I don't know. I've got nothing to gauge it off, so I don't really know, to be honest. I don't. Again, you don't have much to gauge it off either, do you?
I don't think that Ben Shapiro is someone that easily gets smitten.
No, not true. It doesn't seem that, does he? And he's got a wife and kids as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Mr. Harry Nice Guy for €2, I believe that is, says nice. Mr. H after Midnight's Edge, my new primetime Mondays. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. Yeah, if anyone that's come over from Midnight's Edge, thank you so much. Appreciate it all. We've got Finbar White for £5 and also valued member of the channel says, do you think Gina will do more in-depth interviews after a few weeks, especially when promoting her new things? I don't think she will when promoting new things because you wouldn't want to detract from the new things. Like she's not, you're not going to go around and be like, oh, when I was bullied and abused, but please watch this amazing new thing. Like it's counterintuitive, I think. I don't know whether you think differently, Andre, but that would be my opinion on that.
I actually think it would be. I wouldn't be surprised if she did. I think actually that would be a pretty good move as well, to remind everyone we were cancelled. It was completely unjust.
But do you think
we are now?
Details?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
As more time goes by, and hear me out. Why? Like, we are building our own X-wing. Look at this ugly, nasty Death Star we're taking down. We need your help and your support. This isn't just a movement. This is counterculture. We are something bigger and more important, and you need to be aware of that. I think there's going to be more information that's going to come out, and I think it's going to come out in droplets. I think maybe it will, even was a strategic thing, not to drop everything right off the bat. Save some shells for later.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. So I kind of took that question as, is she going to use it on the promotional rounds of a new movie? Which I don't think she would. That's what I mean by counterintuitive.
I don't think it's going to be in the promotion, but I think it's going to be some leaks, some anonymous leaks here and there between now and the movie coming out.
True. Rojaw says, I respect your takes, even though I don't agree with you both at all. Well, that's interesting. I'd love to know what it is that... I'd love to know your stance then. Let's put it that way. Completely understandable. This is your channel. Most of us on the more conservative bend just ask for a fair shake assessment, even if it is critical of us. Yeah, exactly. Why would anyone want special treatment, right? Like if I
want special treatment.
Well, look, mate, you're the security guard apparently these days.
I earned this. Okay, you don't have to work out. All you have to do is know Perry Chan, and he will make you look like this.
Is that what you're telling me?
He'll make you look just like this.
Fuck me! I've been working out all these years, like for no reason.
No, he probably put my head on your body for all I know.
Mind blown. Mind absolutely blown. So welcome, Tom, to the stream.
No, in all seriousness, yes, you do need to work out and exercise. It's good for you, kids. Drink milk. It does a body good.
Yeah, well, calcium caseinate. So
yeah. I was just
depending on times of day. What did you think of the interview?
Just to kind of address what I was saying in the chat before, I don't think it's totally fair of you guys, and I agree. It's like there was some hard hitting questions that he didn't go after, or this feels like it's heavily edited in some way, or not so much heavily edited, but like, yeah, there were some things left hanging. And I don't think this is it. I think this is just the first chapter or the first. Okay. The first, I think what she's doing is playing some, and I think somebody put it in the chat, strategic 4D chess here is I think what she's up to. And I could be wrong, but I think what she's doing is she's putting this stuff out there. And unlike, which is a very fair comparison, the Ray Fisher incident, he's just saying, look, I know what I'm talking about.
I've got the receipts.
See these, I got the receipts. You can't see them, but I got the receipts. But yet, yeah, these people that I talk to, they say I totally believe what I'm saying. Like, that's what we're supposed to take it on. No, she actually hints to the receipts. So I feel like she's given us, like she says, there's emails.
Well, but there's
other people that,
the difference between the two of them is Disney's partisan behavior is clear as day.
Right. And then you have that. So, yeah.
Rank hypocrisy on the internet. It's there. Like, it is undeniable.
Right. Besides what's right in front of our face. I'm sure she has a few emails, and there's some people that would, be able to back up her claims with some actual proof, or at least, stuff that lines up.
I would have just liked her to at least tell me the artist, right? Name and shame the artist that you literally say has done.
Well, everybody already knows who it is, but yeah.
But that's what I mean. So just name it then. Name them.
Well,
and you saying it, and it's there clear as day. She's not breaking anything. There's no slander. Oh, you're telling lies about what I actually did, and it's there. It's like, well, just do it. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing, I guess, kind of bugged me a little bit.
Well, here's the thing too, is like I said, I feel like there's still some things that are probably under NDA she can't talk about. Now, of course, that won't cover everything. That covers certain things, within certain areas. You're right. Like, they don't cover things like instances of abuse and other things. But then again, it depends on how you see things like that. See, like what she saw as abuse, which most normal people would be forcing forcing an employee to face 40 very hostile people and allow yourself to just basically be dressed down for however long and told how much of a horrible fucking person you are for however long, excuse my French. Like, yeah, that's a very abusive thing. Like, can you imagine if your boss did that to you at work? Like, I mean, just
it's insane.
It's insane. And of course, so like, see, she was able to talk about that, which that still could be considerably under certain NDAs in certain situations, because like, even your standard businesses have NDAs as far as certain
publicist, things. Wasn't that the publicist that wanted?
That could have been why she was able to talk about it. That's what I'm saying. Didn't like certain things that have anything to do with certain people on the set, she may not be able to. And then she did allude to people that she wanted to protect. There is that too. And again, I'm not making any excuses for Shapiro, because let's be clear, I don't agree with everything he says. Sometimes I think he makes some good points, but overall, I don't really have one. I don't really care for him, I guess, if I put it for one way or another without being too rude.
But yeah, you don't have to like the guy. I mean, I don't have any experience of him. Quite frankly, he's not a figure in the UK. Like we don't care about him like in any way.
No, I think she set him up
on TV, and he got roasted for it in some.
I think she set him up to see what Disney's move is going to be, and they've already kind of showed their hand a little bit. They're digging into her family. They're trying to find things, and they're not going to find anything. Yeah, I mean, I can tell already from the way she was in this interview. I mean, again, I don't know for sure, but I really have a hard time believing she has many skeletons in her closet compared to anybody she's talking about in Hollywood.
Well, she's very honest anyway.
Yeah.
But just got to get to some super chats real quick before they disappear. Dan Tucker, valued patron for $5, keeping the lights on. Thank you. Says cancel culture. You're finished. Gina, nah, doing better than ever. Yeah, I mean I mean she's inevitably, if the movie's a success, she will get more money than she ever did on The Mandalorian. Absolutely. So yeah, potentially doing better than ever. Amar the Realist, Brother H, contribution for Jasper's treats. Thank you so much. Jasper will very much enjoy that as he's lounging around over there with his little toy. He's been very funny today. George Barrett for $9.99. Wait, did Lucasfilm insist on her apology being interrogated via of Zoom like FaceTime by 40 others against one of her alone? Yeah, basically, not so much an apology, but it was more like a you're bad and this is why you're bad. You need to learn because of this, wasn't it? It was that sort of
That's
approach.
What it sounded like.
Almost like an intervention of SJWism. The weirdest thing.
It sounded like it's like those like management courses that you have like in the more woke enterprises where you have like a consultancy come and tell the staff that they're horrible people. and they need to be ashamed of themselves, and there's really nothing they can do. It kind of sounded like that. It kind of sounded like make amends before we cancel you. We're going to cancel you anyway. That's what it sounded like.
It's just pointless, isn't it? Well, that's what I've always said about apologies. Never apologize to these idiots, because there's literally no point. They don't want an apology. They don't care. Valiant Renegade.
Actually, they do want it, but from their point of view, it's an admission of guilt.
They won't accept it. They won't accept the apology. Is my point. That people have forgotten that apologies are there to be accepted.
Well, I think that was kind of her point too. She was like, she didn't like the disconnection of it either. She wanted to face him like one-on-one. She wanted to take him out to lunch and shit like that. Yeah,
and that's a really nice way of doing it, to be honest. We've got to get to the super chat again real quick. Valiant Renegade for $10 and valued member of the channel says Shapiro is a lawyer. I actually didn't know this. And deposed her before cameras rolled. No questions she wasn't comfy with. Over time, more will come out. Inevitably, I will say.
I believe that,
Others at Lucas still being bullied. Her details may jeopardize them too.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
True, but yeah, I mean, true. I can see it, but a lot of stuff can be said with sort of vagaries as well. It doesn't have to be, clear cut.
To a point, but that's not fair of her to put anybody in a position where they feel like they have to. You know what I mean? Because that's exactly the position she was put in with the whole pronoun thing. So I'm sure that she would never want to do that to anybody.
True. And then we have Bird Boy 82, Mortal Kombat. Gina wins. Brutality. I don't. Can you do a better one than that, Tom?
Brutality.
Oh, we've got that American, a little bit of American twang there.
Where's Chun-Li?
Unreal. Sister Harrow, thank you so much. Joint subscriber, isn't it? A valued member of your
yes,
channel as well
indeed.
As
we are absolutely a treasure, Sister Harrow, who has been a loyal subscriber and supporter for a long time.
Yeah, and makes a very, very, very valuable point here. Is actually, irrespective of your politics, everyone needs to rally around Gina so others feel comfortable to come out about Hollywood. So this is something I would say, I actually agree with this, because the partisan behavior is there clear as day. So we can rally around her in that respect, because we know that, I mean, it's there. We've seen it. It's something which is tangible. It's there online. Whereas some other people, without that, I would probably say no. So I agree with this sentiment. Again, I don't know what you guys feel about that.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think that's like the most important thing here, that what she does right here, together with Ben Shapiro, because she was done in the industry. We've heard this from a number of friends that are in the industry. There was no coming back from her. For her, many sympathized with her, but she was radioactive, and anyone who hired her would be cancelled themselves. There was no way for her to return to the industry for years. So her career was over. And many people didn't agree with that, but again, they have to be silenced, otherwise they are next. Whereas what she's doing now with Ben Shapiro is creating a genuine safe space where there's room for dissenting opinion and where you're not going to be cancelled for it. And I think that there's the potential that this could be like a beginning, like a crack in the door, and then the door might be open, and then it might be rammed down if this project is a success. I really believe that then more people are going to say that, you know what, I have enough money that I actually want to be true to myself and not live in fear. So I'm going to go join these, and more people are going to come out and speak out against Hollywood cancel culture. I absolutely think that can happen.
Yeah. So two things. What is this, Tom, that you shared?
This is actually a quote from Judah Engelmeyer, who used to be a former Weinstein spokesman and worked at Disney, but now he owns his own PR firm. And he said this to THR, and I want this quote to get around because
I covered this on my stream with Script Doctor.
Did you?
This was in the Hollywood Reporter thing, wasn't it?
That's what I just said. Yep.
This is unreal.
And I actually talked to this guy. So in his credit, I will say he has faced us and he has talked about this stuff, and he's, basically uncovering the fact that yes, there is this clear left agenda in Hollywood.
Well, I mean, we all know it anyway. Like,
No, but he's like confirming it basically.
yeah, no, I
that's
know.
like-
This is what I mean. It's like, yeah, like, actually.
And that's what
the
this
room
Gina
knows.
thing is going to do. Is you're going to start getting more people like that coming out and confirming. And I want that quote to get around far and wide.
Yeah, no, quite rightly so. A Gotham Knight for 199 says, "Who do you think she was talking about?" So speculation, guys. Who do you think?
She was talking about at least 3 or 4 different people.
Yeah. First and foremost, Kathleen Kennedy directly. That would be
Or as
big
the one who did this stuff to her or
Yeah.
fired her.
On top of that, there's going to be others. I think Pablo Hidalgo. He is going to be one. And other than that, I do not know any specific names in the story group. There's going to be the leading people of the story group.
As far as against her, but like the ones she's talking about that are sticking up for her. Favreau is probably one of the ones who went to bat and wasn't the one who succeeded.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers is another one.
We've seen his actual public sort of support.
Pedro is probably the one she's talking about when she says there's a story I could tell to the press that would turn this all around.
But I can't because.
But I can't.
Yeah.
And I mean, and she already talked enough about him and named him when it talked about, the certain situations that he was involved in.
I liked her stories about him. It was
And the
nice.
hypocrisy.
They were like, well, look, we disagree, but we're both humans and we're friends and we like one another. So, and that's how it should be.
Well, and
It's
I
a
kind of,
weird tribal culture that we've got involved in the last. It's just insane.
And
It's
I don't want to speak for her, obviously, but from what I got from the interview was she was completely non-political until this last year. And it sounds almost like a lot of the abuse she was facing online kind of pushed her more toward, like, they were already calling her a conservative before she was one, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and then no, you are right. Actually, that was the vibe that I got. And then she was like, "Well, let me go and have a look at what these people are saying." Then let me have.
And then she went to Ben Shapiro, who was like, "Okay, let's see what these conservatives have to say." And then she looked at him, and she probably found herself agreeing with him. And then she probably realized, you know what? They're right. I wasn't one before, but they've made me one. I wouldn't surprise me if that was like what happened there.
Dan Tucker says, I think this was their opportunity to show her as a real person, not the far right transphobic World War II bad guy she was portrayed as. Yeah, I mean, you are right there, right? Like it although it's touted as like an interview, like a sort of a tell-all reveal kind of thing. I think also it's, the Daily Wire would obviously have PR working for them. It's probably gone, well, let's just show her as who she is, just a nice person. Let's do that first. Let's get her image corrected so the public sides with her a bit more, which inevitably they probably did anyway. And then maybe further down the line, we'll reveal more things if they're able to. I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
I think that's part of it, yeah. And the other part, I think she's waiting to see what move Disney makes now.
Well, so that's the thing, though. Like, it's difficult for them to do anything because she hasn't made any specifics.
I think they're going to find various snide ways of screwing with her every way they can. Just
they already tried,
malice, and because we already heard this thing earlier today when they attacked one of our friends and her friends too, because they attacked a drunk 3PO because they know she's a friend of him. She's.
Well, in fairness, didn't they take down T-shirts which had C-3PO on it? So it is copyright.
Yeah, but how many other C-3PO shirts are out there? And those shirts have been out there for now, and they chose to do.
I made the one argument I'll make is that should fall under parody. I get it if you use somebody.
How different? I don't know how different it is. I only know that it was C-3PO, and when it so just to put it out there, like I have Godzilla versus Kong merch, right? I'm more than prepared for Legendary just to come in and tell me to take it down. Like I'm more than prepared for that, and you need to be prepared for that if you're using licensed copyright characters. You do have to be prepared for it. Like like I agree that it's obviously tactical in this instance, but it's not exactly a stretch either. Like you made yourself more visible to these people. They were bound to do
Absolutely,
this.
yeah. But here's like the
Let's
thing
not
that
say
they,
it's a
yeah, but they
massive
chose.
victimhood thing, like because it was
No, but they chose to do it now.
of
They
course
chose to go
that's
after him, and they chose to do it now, and that is
yeah.
not a coincidence.
No, that's definitely tactical. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, if he went to court for it, unless the art he used was specifically somebody's that they owned, it could very well fall under fair use of parody because it's 3PO drinking a beer in his hands, and the original icon was even more cartoony. And somebody else made this one for him, as far as I know. Because originally they went after him for the shirts that Gina was promoting because they were the proceeds are going to charity. And they say the rebellion and welcome to the rebellion on it. And they were freaking out. And then, you know, me and several others pointed out, you can't copyright generic phrases and words like that.
No, they can sometimes get you
It
done on a
depends.
font though, as well. Believe it or not, they
you cannot copyright a typeface. You can copyright a specific font file.
No, but Teespring will accept people making claims, and because it's on Teespring,
of course, yes,
they will just boot it off. I've got to clarify this thing real quick. True Shader, we're not bashing Ben Shapiro. I'm very confused with why you're saying that. Sorry, I just spotted that. I had to interrupt. We're not bashing him at all.
No, we're simply pointing out that there were things that he could have followed up on with follow-up questions that he didn't. That's a statement of fact. There's no bashing.
Yeah, that's not bashing it.
I mean that's something that Age could say about me in our interviews, or vice versa. Yeah, there's no bashing with that.
No, it's literally just a constructive criticism. It's perfectly reasonable, to be fair. It helps you improve.
Not only that, we've all conducted interviews, so I think we have a place to
exactly. That's like the thing. I mean, yeah, all three of us here, we have conducted interviews with some really high-profile people, so we know a little bit about what we're talking about there. We're not novices. We've actually done this, and we're going to do it again many, many times over.
You're good.
But yeah, as far as the whole thing, as far as the legality of it, because I've checked into a lot of this because of the channel and stuff that I do, pictures and stuff like that, art is owned by usually the person who draws it. And even if they're drawing something that's copyrighted, there's still a gray area for that. Photographs are different.
Yeah. So
and you cannot copyright a typeface, so like the Star Wars logo type. Like you can't copyright that, but you can if Disney made a specific font file and say Drunk got a hold of that file and used it, then they could. But he didn't. He's using a free font that somebody made, so there's nothing they can really do. Like that's the problem. Is it's really gray areas because like somebody even asked about because we have a shirt that says I'm Batman and like, well, can you really sell that? Like, yeah, because it just says I'm Batman. It doesn't have Batman on it.
Yeah, it's a phrase. Like, you can't copyright. You can copyright a phrase if it's
to a point, thing, but it's like very. You usually have to have something unique about it. Yes.
Yeah. Just quickly get through some super chats here. Sorry to interrupt there, dude. George Barrett for 1111.
No, you do what you got to do.
Midnight's Edge 3, even 4 against 1, rejecting a personal invitation to lunch with Gina. Smells like Crash Bang Boom. Ultra Woo's Spirit. Says it all or what? So he's basically talking about the. I love your comments because it's like a riddle trying to decipher. And that's not me disrespecting you because I know English isn't your first language and I genuinely do enjoy it. Like it's a very sincere statement, so please don't think I'm ripping on you. You're discussing here obviously the 40 plus. People surrounding the Zoom call and people not accepting that really, as you say, it says it all. It really reveals people's intentions as to why they were trying to do it in that way rather than a personal face-to-face. So I could, completely stand by your sentiment there. Marshmallow for £2 says, smash that like button. Yes, please do. We've got some other ones real quickly here as well. Let me scroll up, see if I can get them before they disappear. Mr. Plague Doctor for $9.99. Gina, being the amazing woman she was, wasn't even political. She took one look at everything going on with the left and right and chose right. That really says something. Yeah, but it's because I think ultimately at the moment there actually isn't a. There are conservatives, right? But there's not what the left claims to be the right out there anymore. So the left thinks that the right are Nazis, right? That's ultimately what they think that the right is. Yeah, we can all agree on that, yeah? Guys?
I think so.
Yes, that's actually something we covered before, and that you have like research to support this. That in America, we're talking American politics here, that the conservatives in America think that the people on the left are good people but misguided and uninformed, whereas the people on the left think that conservatives are evil, nasty people that must be re-educated, or failing that, destroyed.
Yeah. And so it is. I think it's really important to decipher, like, when we're talking about the left and the right these days. The left views the right as Nazis. Is basically what extreme right wing. That's what they believe the right is these days. And not all the left is like that either, by the way. FYI,
Right.
Let's just be completely clear on that. But the left has a majority of full left-wing nut jobs that thinks that. So that's why you sort of tarnish it with the same brush a little bit there. But it's important to distinguish that it's not exactly the same. And so to say that she chose the right, it's really she chose centrist for the most part. You know, like I don't think she's, you know, watching that interview, it seemed a fairly centrist stance on a lot of things.
At the same time, though, just watching from the outside, American politics right now seems to have become so extreme that the balance has shifted, that the only thing that is left right now is the extreme left, whereas what used to be centrist suddenly is now right wing.
Yeah. It's sort of,
and just so that as long as they can paint the bad guys in one light, then that's all that matters. And you got to make them the bad guys, and then hence you get the comments like she was pointing out, like, you know, the hyperbolic comments where somebody's being called a Yahtzee, but yet she can't even bring up a point that she wasn't making, but yet other people were projecting onto it. And Andre's made the point before too, where, like, not to get too deep into politics, but like, you know, where he's from, like, I can imagine that Gina's in a position a lot like Andre, where, like, you know, where she comes from might be a more central, if not left leaning area, but since she's in this place that's full of left wing nut jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
she comes off more like a centrist or right. Yeah, exactly. Like,
exactly.
Mark Mello makes an interesting point here. Why is nobody making a Darth Kennedy shirt? True. Why hasn't anyone done that yet?
I don't want to touch her likeness, because then I don't want her down my neck.
Yeah, exactly. Who would want that? But yeah, no, I agree with that point. Like, even here in Norway, you have like some people that are. They are of the opinion that if you are to the right of Stalin and Chairman Mao, well, then you're a freaking Yahtzee. So yeah, that's kind of like the thing.
Lenin Franco says you guys defend this twerp Shapiro. Again, we haven't actually defended him either.
We haven't really done anything on the other side. We've been pretty neutral on him, really.
Oh dear.
See, but that's exactly the point. Like, I think that
both of these comments perfectly exemplify the state that
you get that
United
every
States
day in
currently in at the moment.
And you get that every day in YouTube.
You're bashing him. You're defending him.
So you guys were too hard on this, or you guys weren't hard enough on this.
They're literally commenting on us saying exactly the same thing. One decides that we're too harsh, other decides that we defend him, and that is how people only shows that people have already been radicalized. But I do believe that the user Lenin Franco may be playing a little joke right now.
I think so. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, you got the super
Jack
chat.
Dropped on and says, late to the show, great interview. Gina seems fairly new to politics. Yeah, very, very new. So much so she wouldn't say she was political, really. The only problem I had with the interview is that Ben pushed her as being conservative. Yes, he did. He did, actually. He out and out said it, didn't he? He said, oh, and now you're conservative. I believe as close to a quote as I can get. But he did basically say, yeah, you are a conservative. She might be centrist. We don't know. Thoughts? I would say she seems to hold more centrist views than. But Yeah,
I think the best way to is refer back to what I just said before about the fact that, you know, she may be more centrist anywhere else in the world, but being in a bubble or a room full of a bunch of crazy left nuts, then she probably does come off that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I would say too. That anywhere else she would be a centrist, but American politics have now gotten so extreme that there aren't any centrists anymore. Those that were centrists, they probably feel like centrists still, but just the conversation and the border has like moved so that they now fall within the purview of conservative.
Yeah,
And that's what like many people. Yeah, that's what everyone. I hear everyone say that I didn't abandon the left. The left abandoned me because they stood where they were the whole time, and then suddenly the border changed. They were like, "What happened?"
Yeah,
I was left the whole time, but now it's the conservatives that speak for me.
Well, it's the phrase "the left eat their own" because they have been doing that. They've just been churning them out, and now people are just like, "No, fuck that."
Well, that's what I've been saying. Now that they don't have a boogeyman, they're going to go after the strongest and most outspoken of them. And Gina was not even really probably one on that radar. She was only on Kathleen Kennedy's radar, and they just used this as an excuse. Again, I keep going on about like people are going, "Oh, this is proof that there is no Cold War." I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is shots fired. This is proof that the Cold War was just lost."
Absolutely.
Kathleen Kennedy just hit the fucking nuke button, basically.
Yeah, and I will say one more thing about Shapiro saying, "So you're a conservative now," or that he didn't ask her. He stated you held conservative views. I think there's two parts to that. One is that the conversation has shifted at the same time, and I think this is more subtle but very, very real. As we established and that she established, her awakening is very, very recent. So the idea that she's a conservative is probably very new to her. So I think that what he did is that he enforces it to her in front of millions of people watching, saying, "You are conservative, own it." And she's like, "Yeah, that's where we are now."
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Real quick, a question about Justice League, which we'll get on into a second. But love your channels. Heard if the Snyder Cut does well enough, Zack Snyderverse could continue with the Justice League sequel. Would you like to see that? I personally wouldn't. I don't find them as compelling. I mean, I don't care either way, I guess is my point. I don't hate them. Like, fine if it continues, I guess. Yeah, I'll watch it, whatever. That is literally my stance on it. But I also don't agree that this is a possibility just yet either. But guys, your thoughts and any insights?
I can come at this from a completely unopinionated state. AT&T, if they want any of this to go on, then they need to get behind it more. Because right now they're allowing the narrative to get carried through that this is nothing but a dead-end street. And they're allowing the narrative to continue to flourish that this was basically to pacify a bunch of loud, obnoxious people online. And I'm not saying you are out there if you're a Snyder fan. I'm just saying what they're saying from their point of view right now with basically their silence on this and not advertising it because they got behind it to begin with. Yeah. Because as Andre and I and everybody else, at least that has, you know, at least an idea of how movies work has pointed out that, there was an early cut that Snyder had. They decided to go a different direction. Assembly cut, yeah. And we've said from the day one, the only way we're going to see a Snyder cut is if there is a regime change at Warner Brothers, which we've had, and where a lot of people whose fifis can be heard are gone, which most of them are. And I use the term most of them are because this is the key here, is that there's some very powerful people still in Warner Brothers that don't want this to happen. You have an entire crew of people that are working on DC movies that see this as a big pie to the face or worse possibly. And I could probably just leave it from there for Andre to pick up because he'll probably say the rest of the same shit I am. So
yeah, absolutely. The Snyder Cut is something that they wanted to bury and stay buried forever, at least until they were gone. And many of the people that can look really, really bad from the Snyder Cut being released, they're still there. Like Toby Emmerich, he's one. All of the shit that was done there, he was there to approve. And now AT&T were the ones that mandated him. You know what? We want that Snyder cut. But here's the thing, though. They didn't do this just to appease the fans. That honestly had nothing to do with it. AT&T, this started out as AT&T. They needed a response to The Mandalorian. Something that they could put out on HBO Max fast. And what they had, which they saw that there is demand for, was The Mandalorian. And that's how it came to be. So it wasn't that, oh, we have to give these fans what they want. It was we, AT&T, need something that's going to be huge that we can pick up fast and put on HBO Max. We have the possibility to finish up the Snyder Cut in a reasonable amount of time. There is massive fan demand for it. Okay, go. And whatever those guys at Warner have to say, we don't really care about. But the people at Warner, they did not want it, because this not only puts them at risk, it undermines their own plans for what they wanted to do with Warner going forward. And they are the ones who are saying, nah, this is a dead end because we have other plans. AT&T haven't said that. These are the same people that were saying Snyder Cut is never ever coming out. They are the ones now saying this is a dead end. It's a dead end right up until it comes out and it becomes a major hit, and AT&T says, you know what, this was a major hit, we want to see it continue. And then Warner have nothing to say about it. What you're seeing right there, you have different factions of a civil war, just like with Lucasfilm.
Yep, exactly. And what you also have is one faction that already took two extremely big hits. They took a hit to the gut with fucking Wonder Woman, and they took a hit to the nuts with Birds of Prey.
And these are the people that would then say that, no, that's a dead end. We're going to continue with our Birds of Prey bull crap.
Just real quick, Dakota Jensen, Yamaka boy, apparently gets people mad salty. Allegedly he does.
Not familiar with Little Yamaka, sorry.
Bart Kohler, I think. Do you think it was Disney going after Gina for politics, or Kennedy going after Favreau for a power play?
Both.
And using the politics as about. Yeah, I'd say both. I think both is probably the.
KK saw her in with Gina. And Gina signified everything that she detested because Gina wasn't Rey.
Yeah, well, it's the complete opposite, isn't it?
Gina was beloved. Gina was a strong character. She was on a show that everybody was enjoying. And when that Luke moment happened, you better believe that KK fucking lost her mind. And I've brought this up before. I don't think she's as on the ground and as involved as people like to make her out to be or think she is. Oh, sure, she's glad to take the credit for something like The Mandalorian. But the proof is in the pudding when she was asked about The Rise of Skywalker and Leia being in it. She's like, oh, no, she's not going to be in it, or however she put it. And Carrie's brother's wrong. Well, no, he was right, actually. They were using footage from The Force Awakens, as he had stated. So she clearly didn't know what the fuck was going on there. And then when you get to The Mandalorian, after that was said and done and out on television, mind you, not in production, not in the writing phase, after the show was out, that's when she realized that The Mandalorian was too much like the Obi-Wan series that she had already written or had written and had to have rewritten now. Because it was too much alike. So to me, that sounds to me like she's too much like a satellite producer. Same thing with it took 88 days for her to get Lord and Miller out of there. Benioff and Weiss, that's another position where I wonder what the hell went down there. The Trank one, well, we can understand that incident, but we already know what happened with Trevorrow. Right there's a clear example of her being at fault because she could have fixed that. And anybody who's seen that script knows it could easily have been retroactively fitted to where you just flip-flop the characters around or take Leia out. All you had to do, and the only key to that, though, was making sure Luke Skywalker was alive and breathing. And they couldn't do that for him. They refused to make that accommodation when they had a year to do something that we all could do right now. By simply going in and cutting Leia out of the rest of the movie after she gets blown up on the ship. And then cutting just a few seconds before Luke disappears.
Yeah.
Seriously, like it would take
As
us
Critical
5
Junior
minutes
says,
to edit
barely
it
an
in.
inconvenience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would literally in the software that we use to make YouTube videos. It would take us 5 minutes to fix The Last Jedi for the next movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Just really important to address this, because if one person says it, there'll be other people thinking it. Why are you guys so desperate for her to be
We
conservative?
weren't.
You can like and agree with someone who isn't on the same political compass as you, you bigots.
In fact, I actually made the argument for months that she wasn't conservative. If I may.
I hope this is a joke.
I really
That's what
do.
I'm going to say, because
I hope it's a joke too.
If it's not, you're an idiot. Unfortunately, because we weren't. But it might be that you came in at the last minute and only heard us talking about it. We were saying that Ben Shapiro was. I mean, I've stated numerous times I think she's a centrist.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
So hence why I think that this might be a bit of a joke.
I'm going to take it as a joke too.
Well, I hope it is, but I don't want people to watch this back and go, "Oh, they were actually thinking." Do you know how discourse can be changed by people saying things and other people looking at it going, "Oh, they actually think this," blah blah blah. So it's important to address it every now and then. We have brand new member of the channel. Thank you so much, Kathleen Kennedy's 50-year-old fanboy. I think that's a joke as well, to be fair. Henry Ford, when Mr. H squats, he doesn't lift himself up, he pushes the world down. Cheers, bro. Appreciate it.
You need to put that on a shirt.
Follow me on Instagram at Mr. H Reviews. There's some stuff on there actually of me trading. Finbar White, do you think Jon Favreau will be in charge of Disney Star Wars within a year or two? No. Will even Disney get fed up of Kathleen Kennedy? Well, that's the real thing, right? Because she said she was going to leave. Her contract was up. It got renewed. Then she said she was going to leave when what was it? Indy 5 was out, wasn't it? That was what it was. And that's now still not really happening. So what's
happening,
going on with this?
But here's the thing. And Andre can expand on it however he wants. We've heard from enough people that, like I said before, she's been a satellite producer when it comes to Star Wars because she doesn't really care about Star Wars. She is mainly concerned about finishing off the Indiana Jones series and whatever other little projects she has going on. Because, she's at that age where she's ready to retire and she wants to go out on a high note. I'm sure she's more than well aware that she's botched this whole Star Wars thing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
how could you not be aware?
And I mean, it's not like she has to do anything. And I think they've got some ironclad bullshit that George Lucas probably sadly not thinking put in there as fail safe, so they couldn't just get rid of her, because otherwise, clearly they would have by now. Even without any optics. They did. And again, I still feel like there's something there that she, and I brought up the Pascal thing too. I don't know if Andy wants to expand on all that stuff too, but no, I don't think she's going anywhere until Indy 5 is done. And even then she's still going to be attached to shit. And then that's where Andre can jump in here.
Yeah, no, because basically, she has these contracts where she is locked in with certain projects. So that, for instance, with Indiana Jones, they can't make an Indiana Jones movie without her involvement.
Even if she wasn't the head of Lucasfilm.
Even if she wasn't the head of Lucasfilm, she doesn't have to be, because that's completely irrelevant, because she has a contract that says that no Indiana Jones movie can be made without her producing it, regardless of which other position she may hold. And this is the same thing that Amy Pascal has with Spider-Man. She has a deal that says that no matter what Spider-Man movie is made, it cannot be made without her involvement as a producer, just because.
Unreal.
And it was quite devious the way that this contract was made in terms of Amy Pascal. If you want, like the short version is that when Marvel and Sony were discussing the rights of making a deal, at that time Amy Pascal was the head of Sony.
And these are all hidden under Yeah, and these are all hidden under like final say clauses or however you want to put it. Like
Yeah,
they have to be able to sign off on this shit. And so if they don't want to sign off on something, then you're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
And so like, and I think that's why for those who aren't fans of the MCU Spider-Man right now, if you want to blame anybody for that, that's who you blame. Because she was the one who would not let them use the classic versions of the characters, just in case her plans that she had in plan went through, which they didn't, because Tom Rothman, I believe, came in and stopped all that nonsense. Because if I'm not wrong, I think she's the one who ghosted Disney for 6 months on the whole MCU shit.
Yeah, I believe so. Jack's dropped in here again. Thank you so much, dude. Shift of trend. Is there more pushback and awakening in Hollywood? Will we start seeing more studios doing counter programming? Perhaps, but it will take years. Yeah. Hollywood moves at a snail's pace, and they're always really behind the curve. We slowly started to see a bit of a change, didn't we? With what they were doing, they were actually counter programming a little bit, but they were always years behind anyway. So, not for a long time. But yeah, like I think we will. But the thing is, you got to remember, is not all studios are the same, right? There are a whole bunch of studios that don't do any of this crap. Is it Universal? They don't get involved in politics that much. They're the ones that did the Sonic movie, aren't they? Universal. Was that Paramount? One of the ones that don't do much. Legendary don't care about politics. Legendary aren't really interested. They're the ones that make the brutal John Wick. Or is that Lionsgate? One of the two. Legendary or Lionsgate. Neither of them care that much. It's the big players. It's Warner Brothers. It's Sony. Not really a big player, but they still get involved in it now. Disney. You know, it's those ones that make the big sort of Hollywood stuff. Real quick, AR Dan became a YouTube member. Thank you so much. Cancel Indy 5 if that's what it takes. Yeah.
Well, I think she proved that she has more power when Spielberg walked out the door.
Yeah. And George Barrett says, "Love it. Gina isn't Ray." Hashtag dudes. Yeah. I mean, that's a hashtag to get started, isn't it? Gina isn't Ray, but that could be misconstrued as being negative almost.
It could be, but no, like that's what I think the biggest point of contention is not only was the show popular, it didn't have a whole bunch of agenda politics shoved into it. And then Favreau managed to create a strong female character that people got behind. That was everything that she wanted to do with Rey in the sequel trilogy that she couldn't do because, of course, as I put in that recent video, the bit that got cut out, but I threw in the beginning of our Gina breakdown is for some reason that makes no sense to anybody but herself. She felt like they needed to alienate the original fans. I don't know why, but yeah.
So odd. Ed Carone says, "I want it, but I don't think Mephisto is coming. They cannot portray imagery of the devil in China."
Doesn't matter.
Also, is Brie the cameo mentioned in mentioned 3 episodes in a row? I haven't been watching WandaVision.
I've checked out of the last couple episodes, but I can almost guarantee you that Mephisto is going to be there. I'm not going to tell you why.
I've seen it. I've seen WandaVision. And yeah, it's a guarantee that he's going to be there.
I've seen spoiler stuff, but as far as the other characters, I have no idea.
Well, there you go, guys. I can't comment on that. I stopped watching. So
it got better, then it got worse.
Do you think the shareholders could sack KK?
No, it's not how it works. Not
the
exactly.
Shareholders can only sack Shapiro.
Only people that
Yeah, they don't get involved with the minutia, and that is technically minutia. So
and that's kind of something I brought up though, is like that's the thing is when you invest in these kind of companies, that's the way these shareholders see it as is I'm investing in them because I believe in them. And if they were to start meddling, then that kind of defeats the whole purpose. Then you might as well just be a Bob Iger or Bob Chapek then.
Yeah. I think that about rams it up. Fuck's sake!
Ram jam is in your mind.
It's been a long day. My just to let everyone in on what I had to do this morning. 7 a.m. I had to take my PC apart and my neighbor put thermal paste through my door. So my dog woke me up super early to go grab the thermal paste, and then I'd basically build my PC because I thought I'd blown it up, so I had to do my PC.
Oh, that sounds fun. I've been there.
Oh, it was not fun. It was not fun at all. So I'm a little bit tired. So I think that about rounds it out with the Gina Carano situation and things like that. Unless I'll give obviously the chat time to catch up with us because there's always a delay. Unless there's anything specifically people want to cover on the Gina Carano situation, because then we're going to move on to Justice League. So don't go anywhere. We're still here. We're staying here for a while because good God, there was lots revealed. First things first. I want to touch on this. I fucking hate this. I'm not gonna lie. This has about as much subtlety as a fucking pineapple up my arsehole. Like, this is terrible.
Or that thorn crown up your asshole, maybe.
This is just. I hate this. I think this is so fucking shit.
Oh man.
I can't. Like, people are saying so cringe. Yeah, I just think it's garbage. I'm not religious, but
this image right here reminds me of why I did not like Snyder's take on DC Universe.
Yeah, I mean, look, people are saying, "Oh, it's just the behind-the-scenes image." It doesn't matter. They're using it to promote the film. Like, it doesn't matter.
Clearly, they're trying to something with him. Yeah. Anyway,
it's just bad. And someone's Dr. Jagus says Mr. Edgelord. Yeah, it is. It just screams Edgelord. It's just, I just hate it. I just think it's crap.
Every time I take one step forward to the Snyder Cut, he releases or says something that sends me 2 or 3 steps back. I swear.
Well, look, I don't like Jared Leto anyway.
No, that's a problem.
I liked this new incarnation of the Joker, right? I thought he actually looked really good. And then they released this image, and then I'm instantly like, nah, he's a twat again. Like, instantly, I'm like, no, I hate it. This is garbage. Like, instantly don't like, it reminds me of why I dislike him so much.
No, I've never been a fan of his Joker one way or the other. And it's almost sounded like, Andre, you were almost on board with that last image of him, but then you just laughed at this one, I remember this morning.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, oh my God, like, that only goes to show what a ripoff this Joker is. Because when we first saw Leto's Joker, the gangsta tattoo Joker in Suicide Squad, then they were completely desperate with going a different direction from Heath Ledger. And that didn't work. And then the Phoenix Joker came, and it was as big or bigger hit than, I would say bigger hit than the Heath Ledger Joker was. And now in the aftermath, because that movie also made $1 billion, and it did so without Batman.
True. Good point.
Well, Phoenix's Joker was praised at the time. Heath Ledger's Joker was praised a little bit more after the fact, I think.
He did win the Oscar though. That's one of the, as far as I know, the only time in history. Yeah, that 2 different people have won an Oscar for playing the same part, as far as I know. Unless somebody wants to correct me in the chat.
And then going back here to this Joker, then this is the same actor that played the maligned gangsta tattoo Joker, and now he's reworked to what to me looks like a mix of the Heath Ledger Joker and the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, because he seems to have a little bit of both. Like, the makeup is like a little bit of a mix of both. And like this thing right here, which portrays him kind of like an antichrist, a cult leader. Well, we didn't see that in the Heath Ledger Joker, but we did see it in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, how he kind of like became a symbol to the downtrodden and stuff like that.
An ideological icon, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So here they appear to see, okay, what we did before that didn't work, but what worked was Phoenix, and what worked was Ledger. So we're just gonna slam those two together, and we're gonna put that on top of you, and you're going to be the mix of those. That's what this looks like to me. That's what was my first thought when I saw the images. and his little glimpse in the Snyder Cut trailer. And this image right here only further cements that this is now a copycat Joker. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing necessarily.
I am.
But, yeah, then you said it.
I dislike this very, very much. I think it's very lazy. I think it reminds. I just think it's.
And I got to correct myself. De Niro and Brando did win for The Godfather. I was thinking that. I just double checked it, and then also somebody called me on the chat. Yeah, I just double checked it. Yep. So those are the only two instances that I know of.
Robert Crawford dropped in for $5 and says, "Have you seen the Daily Wire movie Run, Hide, Fight?" I've not yet. And it's really important to note that they actually only bought the distribution rights to it. They didn't make it. Really important to note that, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's garbage." It's like they didn't make it. They just bought the distribution rights.
Yeah. What should also be noted, though,
y'all are hating. Yes, we are. We are allowed an opinion on it, George. That's
look. I'll say this much about the whole Zack Snyder thing, because I was booted off of the official Collider Facebook page way back when Batman v Superman came out, because I got an argument with a bunch of people who were claiming that Snyder was like Jesus and shit. And I'm like, no. And I'll say this much. I liked his version of Watchmen. I actually like the ending better than the original comics. And that says a lot, because that's one of my favorite graphic novels of all time. I enjoyed his remake of Dawn of the Dead, because that says a lot, because the only zombie movies I like are the Romero.
I'm looking forward to Army of the Dead as well, actually.
Yeah, I've heard some things about that sound all right. And then 300 was a great adaptation.
300 was awesome.
Other than that, I can't get behind any of his other shit. I've not liked Man of Steel. I fucking hated it. Did not like BVS. Even the extended cuts, like, yeah, it's better, but it's still the same movie. And so I'm not thinking I'm going to like the Justice League, but if I do, then hey.
Well, you say it, wouldn't you? Just be honest.
Absolutely.
Richard Wagner has said something very, very appropriate here, and actually, I'm surprised I didn't notice this. It's a poor man's version of Saint Maud. Now, you guys, I don't think you've seen Saint Maud, because it came out last year. But my God, you're right. Like, you're absolutely right. I'm really surprised I didn't see it. Let me.
Now I want to go watch Exorcist 3. It worked in The Exorcist 1 and 3.
So it is very much a sort of poor man's Saint Maud.
Yeah. Well, and it's a classic Jesus image anyway, from my knowledge. So.
I know, but still, like, it's just, I don't know.
I'm sure it's probably for something promotional. Probably wind up on some fucking T-shirts and shit. But
Will Mel Gibson direct this?
Action, sugar tits.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Stephen J. Kendall says 4 hours of polishing a turd is not a good movie.
That's funny.
Oh dear. I think it would definitely be divisive. I think that film. I'm just interested to see what the results are from it all. But there was this. Have you guys seen this Vanity Fair article or not?
Which one?
The new one that dropped today.
No.
It is insane. It is insane.
I may have. I'm not sure yet.
It's from the Vanity Fair. Of course, it's insane. But
let me. I can leave this studio and come back, can't I? With you still live here.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Let me drop off and come back on. I've got to use a different browser to pull up different web pages. So I'll drop back on in a second, and we'll look at the Vanity Fair article.
I was saying, if now you can send me one too.
My people for me, please.
Yeah,
I will try.
Absolutely.
I can sing and dance.
There's no need for that. Midnight's Edge is taking over, so we can do whatever the hell we want.
That means we can say all kinds of naughty words. I can't play Koalas in the Rain. It's not my thing. I can sing it.
Yeah, that's right.
Koalas in the rain. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to sing pretty well.
Porg time. I don't know about porg time. We don't need that again. That was fun.
Yeah,
but...
It was fun, but we had quite enough porgs in our stream. For those wondering, because we just came from our own stream where porgs were the order of the day in every sense of the word. But Mr. H is back again. That didn't last.
James Stockdale's like, Tom, Congo, go.
So here we go.
I saw
this
this.
is.
Yeah,
Oh, you did see it then. I mean, it's quite.
I didn't
tell-all,
read
isn't
it, but I kind of perused it a little.
So you didn't
Is
read it
there
then?
anything?
No, because I can't get into Vanity Fair. I can only read like the first paragraph or so.
Is
Hey,
there
this is for
something
free.
revolutionary?
What do you mean you can't get into Vanity Fair? It's for free, dude.
You're only
You can't-
allowed like 3 different articles a month, and then you have to pay for it here.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, a couple of them are like that. That's why I usually have
did
to have
not know.
Andre to get me because for some reason, and then the best part is like, yeah, in other places, or of course now I use Surfshark, not to plug it on your channel, but like, yeah, if you change your location.
Oh, you can't do that. I've just had a NordVPN ad. God damn you. I have legit had one today.
You almost went with
Oh,
them,
awesome!
though,
Cool. Congrats.
Yeah.
Right, so it is quite revealing, actually. And I wonder if anyone in the chat has seen this article yet.
No, but I'm interested
Just
to
Jay,
hear
the passion of Levi. Love it.
yeah,
So-
don't get Mel
so-
Gibson in there. He'll be blaming it all on the Jews.
Well, this is obviously where
Yeah, of
image
course.
came from.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. So a lot of this is interesting stuff, like it's about what happened and stuff like that, and it is interesting. Absolutely, it is interesting. But then we go, and it's basically like what happened, loads and loads of stuff, like what happened. But then we go down here. So wasn't just making architect, blah blah blah. He chose Gal Gadot. So just talking about all the backstory, all of this, all of that. It's a really, really long piece, really, really, really long. And then we see this. So when Snyder quit, he took his unfinished Justice League on a laptop as a memento. He figured he'd show it to friends. But again, just an assembly cut. Really super important to note. Always an assembly cut. Diane Nelson, who's president of DC Entertainment at the time, says she appreciated that Snyder was more into deconstructing the familiar than just recapitulating it. Blah, 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 blah. Where's the really juicy stuff? I had it all saved before, but I've had to put this on a different bloody tab, haven't I? Here we go. Snyder knew why Johns and Berg were on set. You could say babysit, he says. Many filmmakers would have bristled at the intrusion, but he was gracious. It didn't bother me too much because they weren't that threatening. I just felt the ideas they did have, where they were trying to inject humor and stuff like that, it wasn't anything that was too outrageous. But Warner Brothers did nix some of his more sweeping notions for Justice League, like adding a romance between Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne and Amy Adams' Lois Lane. So that's what he was going to do. Weird. Thoughts on that?
That sounds weird. I'm
Because when Superman comes back, it'd be like some weird love triangle. Like that's odd,
I can.
That would be
actually,
bad.
It does explain why Superman would be so angry, and it's all about Lewis because Batman took his woman.
Yeah.
Really, we're gonna make this all about pussy now again?
That's basic. Well, that's what he says. But Warner Brothers nixed that. So obviously, Lois was mourning Superman's death in the previous film. The intention was that Bruce fell in love with Lois, and then realized that the only way to save the world was to bring Superman back to life. So he had this insane conflict because Lois, of course, was still in love with Superman. We had this beautiful speech where Bruce said to Alfred, "I never had a life outside the cave. I never imagined a world for me beyond this. But this woman makes me think that if I can get this group of gods together, then my job is done. I can quit. I can stop."
What the?
I know. What is that?
That's
Isn't that
okay.
odd?
I'm glad that.
What
that
about
was next
Selena
because that was a
fucking
dreadful
Kyle?
Well,
idea.
what about the fact that he had Robin? Like he did have a life
Not
outside
just
the
that,
cage.
but
He had a
Selena
surrogate
Kyle,
son,
Chase
basically.
Meridian, fucking what's her face that can Basinger played? Vicky Vale.
Woman, yeah.
That was the first one I brought up was Selena Kyle.
Simperman.
Fuck,
Yeah.
Batman's getting more pussy than anybody else in the DCEU. What the hell?
Wait, he does it to maintain his visage of a billionaire,
Well, no, but I mean,
playboy.
like him and Catwoman have been going. They got married and shit, didn't they? I mean, it was like this big
Yeah.
to-do thing, but like,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Not only that, they've had Vicky Vale in there. She was from the original comics, and I'm pretty sure Chase Meridian was also a character in the comics.
Yeah.
And he's had other characters that he's had love affairs with. I mean, come on, this is
I
dumb.
know.
I'm sorry, that's dumb.
I
That
know,
sounds like
it's
some
ridiculous.
David. That sounds like some David fucking I made demonic toy.
and
Goyer.
Talia al Ghul, Raving.
Oh hell yeah, Talia al Ghul. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. But there's more stuff. Like I said, there's more stuff. So the downside of making epics is the studio's financial expectations. For Justice League, Warner Brothers wanted a big round $1 billion. Everyone wants $1 billion now, which Snyder's movies had never reached. In January 2017, the director showed his first cut to Kevin Tsujihara. It did not go well. According to Snyder and others, Tsujihara, who resigned from Warner Brothers in 2019 amid a sexual misconduct scandal involving the aspiring actress Charlotte Cook, declined an interview request, of course. Among the issues was the length of the film. There was a mandate from Tsujihara that the movie be 2 hours long. 2 hours is a long superhero film anyway. Like, you start going over that, it's difficult to organize in terms of showings. So that's a perfectly fine mandate to make. It really is. Now, obviously, that's what Snyder says. That order had a paradoxical impact because it meant eliminating much of the heart and humor the studio also wanted, like a comical romantic subplot between Ezra Miller's Flash and Kersey Clemens' Iris. Why is there so many love plots in this bloody film? The latter of whom was absent entirely from the Whedon film. On the day Vanity Fair visited his office, Snyder was working on finalizing the music for the restored scene in which the Flash rescues her from a car crash, which we've seen in the trailer.
Yeah.
Snyder also saw a bigger structural problem with the make it shorter order. This is what he says. How am I supposed to introduce 6 characters and an alien with potential for world domination in 2 hours?
Less slow-mo, motherfucker.
I mean, you can. Like, there are alien invasion films, which are... And this isn't...
Avengers managed to do it, kind of, sort of.
But also, he's not introducing the characters because we knew them anyway. Didn't we? I can't remember.
Kind of.
Not the Justice League, no.
I'm trying to remember which
we knew
came
Superman,
first.
we knew Batman, and we knew Wonder Woman, and we knew of the other characters.
Yeah, we knew of them, but we knew nothing about them. Nothing.
But we don't need to know anything about them in the film. We know that we need to know that they're ready to work.
Exactly.
You know?
That's the mistake they made with this whole thing. Is I've said this from the start. They should have just started with a damn Justice League movie. But anyway, go on. Sorry.
But they don't need to be an origin film within the Justice League.
No.
You know, it doesn't.
We
have
all
to
know
be
these
that.
characters.
Yeah. So he says, I mean, I can do it. It can be done. Clearly, it was done. He's referring to Whedon's version, but I didn't see it. So he never watched Whedon's version, which I don't blame him for that. I think that's fine. Sure, why not? Reports that Snyder himself asked Whedon for help were false. Johns, one of the studio-appointed babysitters, had been planning a Batgirl movie with Whedon, and Snyder and others says John recruited him to do rewrites for Justice League. John's representatives didn't respond to a request for comment. Once again, Snyder was gracious and even hopeful. I thought maybe he could write some cool scenes. I thought that would be fun.
As I pointed out many a time before, he worked on the movie before he ever directed it.
Yeah. And then goes further, right? So soon it became clear that Warner Brothers was giving Whedon more and more power. He would not just advise during reshoots, but also do some directing himself. Snyder says he only had one conversation with Whedon about the studio's notes, reeling, obviously, from his daughter's death, which is absolutely awful, atrocious stuff. Finding anguish in their work rather than relief. Zach and Deborah quit. We just lost the will to fight that fight in a lot of ways. All of us, the whole family, were just so broken by losing Autumn that having those conversations in the middle of it really became, I was like, really? Frankly, I think we did the right thing because I think it would have been either incredibly belligerent or we just rolled over. And look, I don't blame him for any of that because that's all.
Right.
I don't think anyone can.
And the
can
studio
comprehend
used that
you know?
to their advantage. And that's one thing we pointed out then is they're basically using, this tragedy to oust him from this movie. And John Davies brings up an excellent question. We just jumped in the chat there.
What?
It was in the chat here. And David Bushti says, "Did the studio even watch Snyder's dailies in order to stop him?" Here's the thing, Dave Bushti. This is already set in motion before Batman v Superman had like caused the disturbance that it did. Like this was happening so quickly. And Andre can back me up on this one.
Yeah, because I think that everything that we learn here, I don't think is anything new. This is stuff that's already out. It's stuff that we have already reported.
Yeah, this is just confirming our reports.
This is just confirming our reporting and many others directly, because now it comes straight from Zack Snyder's mouth. But so far, there's nothing new here.
And then John Davies says that's because the DC movies were knee jerks. Yes, that was what happened. Was they reacted knee jerkingly to the reaction of BVS?
Yeah, and they had 30 days, or even less than that, about a month, from the opening of Batman v Superman till the commencing of filming of Justice League, by which time everyone was demotivated. The studio decided that, you know what, it's going to cost too much to delay a shoot this size and scale, so we're going to keep our release date, we're going to keep the production schedule, but you're going to retool this on the fly. You have 3 weeks to begin before cameras roll. Go.
Yeah. So it says further, so one by one, Zack Snyder called members of his cast and crew. I remember I was in a movie theater, coincidentally enough. I was walking into the AMC right in Times Square, and I got the call. Oh, this is Ray Fisher, sorry. And I got a call from Zack, and he was saying that he had to deal with stuff with the fam, and he was having to step away. I had a trillion questions. My heart sank. Now, Whedon rewrote and reshot about 3/4 of Justice League. Now, it's important to distinguish what he actually rewrote. 3/4 of what? Did he rewrite the condensed version? Because if so, do you see what I mean? Like, if the studio already mandated that it had to be 2 hours, did Whedon only reshoot and rewrite 3/4 of that condensed version, not the original? Do you see what I mean?
Well, that was the question I always brought up, and when I brought up the fact that people say, well, like the Snyder version, the Snyder cut, this, that, and the other, it's like, well, it was basically compromised from the start because of Whedon's involvement early on. And then, that's the great question. Which version did we get? Was it just the reworked version of his reworks, or did he rework the entire script to where it worked in a 2-hour form? Because it really doesn't per se. But then again, all the movie was a bunch of overcorrections, and it has some scenes in it that are cool, but I don't know what would have been Snyder's and that's left over.
Well, this is the interesting
subtly,
thing.
But yeah.
Well, this is the interesting thing. So it says, when fans ask him about the details of the movie that bears his name, he usually has no idea what they are talking about. Worst of all, for Warner Brothers, Whedon didn't exactly save the movie. When we got to see what Joss actually did, it was stupefying. Says a studio executive who requested anonymity. The robber on the rooftop, so goofy and awful. The Russian family, so useless and pointless. Everyone knew it. It was so awkward because nobody wanted to admit what a piece of shit it was. So why did you sign off on the dailies then, you dickhead? Why did you sign off on the script then, you dickhead?
Exactly.
Why did you allow it to happen, you dickhead?
Should have cut your losses while you were ahead.
This is why it's hard to believe this stuff.
Yeah. But it's all true. It's all horribly true. And that is why they're so against the Snyder Cut being released, because it digs back up again all the skeletons of the closet, all the people that signed up on this, or signed up that agreed with this, and that are still there. Like Toby Emmerich, he approved of this every single step of the way, and it cost Warner's hundreds of millions. This is something that was written off and fine, and now comes the Snyder Cut and brings it all back to life again. And that is why Warner is so against the release of the Snyder Cut, because of articles like this, which is also why this guy has to speak on like the condition of anonymity, because he's basically saying this was all horrible and I can't say anymore because the people who approved of it are still here in the building.
Enrique, we're not hating, we're just reading a fucking article, you child.
I actually just even still, I just actually put my response to that in the chat. So last thing I will ever do Go ahead.
You ran away. Go on.
Is bend the knee to just like something because something like that. DC will live past this shit, just like the Star Trek thing and everything else. I keep telling people is I'm not going to just watch and enjoy something because I think it's going to go away if I don't. That's not the truth. These franchises will live past this shit. In fact, these kind of things are more detrimental than the franchises than us just ignoring them.
Yeah. Yeah. So it says further now. So from time to time, we left, says Snyder. It was not a great year, but we did a lot of stuff with the family. It was really an important year. And then starts talking about like Army of the Dead and things like that. And his sort of, I guess, sort of almost rise to, working on Netflix and stuff, which I think like, I actually think, so this goes to show literally not hating at all. I actually think Netflix is a better place for him, especially because of everything he's outlined here. He's talking about big studio interference. You're never not going to get that, dude. Like, you're never not going to get it at all. I think like Netflix is a much better place. He'll be able to do whatever he wants. Realistically, they won't care so much.
I'll throw something out there that even shows you how much even though I dislike his DC universe, and I mean fucking hate what he did with Superman, for instance, I've actually brought up, like, you know what? He'd be perfect for something like a gritty OG style Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, it'd be good for that.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the thing is, it's not that I hate Snyder. He's being put in the wrong positions. He should not be making a Superman film. Batman, fine. That he's great for something like that. Something like Ninja Turtles. It's dark and gritty. Go for it. Give him the first 5 issues and say, here, make this into a movie.
Wouldn't mind seeing him do a Dread movie either.
Or Dread. Dread would be all right, possibly. I mean, he's visually, his styles are great for that. And give him something to work with. Give him a bunch of the comics, like 300. Say, here you go. Do this. He's great with that kind of stuff. But as Andre will point out, when he's got people like Goyer behind him who give him these stupid fucking ideas in his head that he thinks are cool, like Martha. Because I mean, you see that on the screen, and that played out in their mind. They're like, "Oh, this is going to totally blow everybody away."
Yeah.
Have Alex Garland write him a Judge Dredd versus Death script and say, "You are not."
Funny, you just say that when Read by Nature just put it in the chat, and he's a few seconds behind. So
there we go. Yeah.
Like he'd nail that. He'd nail the hell out of that and Dead World and everything. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, Biker Mice from Mars. Yeah, wouldn't mind that. Now it says when Snyder left Warner Brothers, he took his laptop, which was emblazoned with the Justice League sticker. On the hard drive was his original, nearly 4-hour version, assembly cut. It was devoid of visual effects, music, and all the fine tuning that make a movie. So yeah, an assembly cut.
Yep.
And
still confirming more shit we reported.
Yeah, it was also in black and white. So yeah, again, to him, it was a memento. He thought we would just show it to random people who stopped by, like our friends or whatever. Rather than fade away, the demand for the Snyder Cut gained momentum over the years. Groups paid to have single-engine airplanes fly release the Snyder Cut banner around Warner Brothers studio, a lot in Burbank, blah, blah, blah. So again, just talking about all of this. And then he's a nice guy. Like he defends the sort of Snyder Cut and things like that, and talking about trolls and stuff like that. So it says the trolls may have actually held back the movement like looters, an otherwise peaceful demonstration. Snyder cringes at depictions.
They didn't go after him for that one? Wow.
Snyder cringes at descriptions of the abusive tactics. I 100% think it's wrong. I don't think that anyone should be calling anyone anything. I've always tried to give people in the fandom attention who do good things.
What? Can I stop you for a second, Mr. H? Go back to that whole thing that he just basically compared the mostly peaceful.
I can't find it now.
Yeah, it was right at the start of that paragraph. Do you wonder if maybe he's getting drummed out of the main part of Hollywood, maybe because he's conservative too?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, you got a good point there, to be honest.
I just realized that because with that comment he's making, he's throwing shade at the fucking mostly peaceful protesting is what he's throwing shade at.
But that's not them. That's Vanity Fair that have said it.
Oh, okay. So he didn't say that. Okay, that's not his quote. Okay.
But don't just you wait. He'll be ousted as a conservative.
I was gonna say he does seem to lean that way a little bit.
And you know what? This Gina Carano movie is still waiting for a director. So.
Yeah, true. Well, no, isn't she supposed to be directing it, I thought?
No. She's not to direct.
Carl Weathers has been wanting to direct too, by the way, while he's been doing Mandalorian episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, and initially, Snyder and Warner Brothers just wanted to release the raw footage on his
Oh
laptop.
no! Of course, Warner
I
did.
don't believe that.
Warner
Really?
would. No, Warner would. I see what they're
Wow.
saying here. Warner probably did, but then AT&T's like, "Are you fucking crazy? We got to put some money behind this."
Well, yeah, that's madness. That's a no. That's a hard no. And they're like, but why? You can just put up the rough cut. No, you can't. Don't be idiots.
They wanted it that way. They wanted us to see the bad version.
Yeah, true.
Exactly, because that's exactly right. Because they know that only people with some skill of an experience in filmmaking would be able to recognize that this is a work in process. Like everyone can like accept the sentence, but every blockbuster looks dreadful in the work in progress. Like for instance, in Marvel even has like a word for it. I'm not going to say the word, but like the off yourself cut is what Kevin Feige calls like the first cut of the movie, because they watch it and then think, oh my god, this is going to be a disaster, and then it's polished more and more. It's like, yeah, okay, it's going to be fine.
It takes a long time to edit a movie, I know. Like, and I've only edited short films, but fuck me, it takes a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea was basically, okay, you know what, we're going to drop it unfinished, because that way the demands for it are going to stop. People will stop asking because it's out there, and on top of that, everyone will see, yeah, they made the right decision doing with the Whedon. Didn't work out, but at least they tried, and they'd be home scot-free anyway. But again, that's not what happened.
So he responded, I go, here's why. 3 reasons. 1, you get the internet off your back, which is probably your main reason for wanting to do this. 2, you get to feel vindicated for making things right, I guess, on some level. And then 3, you get a shitty version of the movie that you can point to and go, see, it's not that good anyway. So he's basically saying what we said.
What I just said,
yeah. So maybe I was right. I was like, no chance. I would rather just have the Snyder Cut be a mythical unicorn full time. I like that. It's good.
He permeated that a little bit, but then again, he was the one who kept it alive. So
yeah. So Snyder estimates that it costs around 70 million to undo Whedon's redo. For that, HBO Max gets 4 hours of hotly anticipated programming and the Hollywood comeback story of a lifetime. Snyder himself gets nothing. I'm not getting paid, he says. He was paid the first time, of course. This time, he wants creative control, and foregoing a fee helped. I didn't want to be beholden to anyone, and it allowed me to keep my negotiating powers with these people pretty strong. Really? I think he must get something. No, you're not gonna put in there.
I see the situation, what he's talking about. I mean, he probably he forego any kind of payment just so he could have creative control. It sounds like here, because I'm sure his fee would have added another $5-10 million on top of it.
True, very, very true. I'm just surprised that he not get anything, not do anything at all. But maybe that is the case.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I can see where he's coming from. I mean, he just wants to make it right, and he wants to do it for the fans. That's one thing I can't fault him on. Like, I may not like the movies that he's made to this point, but Snyder has not once ever come out and called the fans anything real bad or anything like that to like say, oh, you know, this, that, or the other to anybody who doesn't, you know. The few things he has said that are kind of antagonistic aren't directed towards fans per se.
Yeah, like, no, absolutely.
Like, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend he hasn't said a few things here and there that weren't a little, controversial, but like, like he's made like that one crack he did at somebody about a Marvel movie about like, yeah, if you like movies that are like, Saturday morning cartoons or some shit like that, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and argue that he clearly doesn't understand characters like Superman and obviously Lois and Batman, for that matter, from that shit earlier.
That weird threesome love triangle.
Exactly.
Thing that's
yeah.
odd.
And I mean,
like that.
I give him credit for wanting to try new things and go different directions, but when we haven't had a decent Superman movie in 30 years, or at least, whatever you think of Superman Returns on that matter. But like, it's been that long and we've never had a Wonder Woman and all these things are going on and you're bringing in stupid shit like that. It's like, no. You just got to keep it simple, stupid, just to begin with here. And like we said, we all know these characters, make them simple versions of these characters so you can just introduce them to us and then we can move on from there. We don't need to see, the Waynes die on screen again. We don't need to see Superman sent from Krypton and all that shit. We've all seen it a million times before.
And then just sort of rounding out here, a little bit more defense of the Snyder Cut group, which I think is fine. Like, people have been saying, oh, they attack people, but this fan base saved lives. They've come together for great causes and things like that because they raise money for suicide prevention, which is great. Like, absolutely fantastic. Can't knock that, can you? So that's really, really good. And it says rebuilding the story he had always envisioned is what invigorates Snyder most. He can go as deep and dark as he likes. That's the bit that I'm as deep and dark as he likes is a bit. You can say to hell with DC's official timeline for the characters and let this alt version of the Justice League story wind up wherever he pleases. So it's sort of solidifying the alternate version, I guess. He's put Superman in a sleek black suit, which we knew anyway. He added the Joker. He's reshot the ending with a hero cameo that will blow hardcore fans' minds. That's going to be Green Lantern. In what may be a divisive move. He's also presenting the movie in the boxy 4:3 format rather than widescreen so that one day it can be watched on IMAX screens. Some may be irritated by seeing Justice League on HBO Max with black bars on either side. Snyder isn't troubled by that. The director is also layering in personal elements because he put in Hallelujah, which was at his daughter's funeral, which is, again, nice, I guess. There you go. That kind of rounds it out, really. But I thought we'd go through that because it was interesting. And any kind of thoughts on all of that, I guess, guys?
And a script doctor appears. No,
a wild script doctor.
A wild script doctor. I'm sure we'll have a video coming on this sooner than later, right, Andre?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We're actually working on a Batman one right now anyway, but...
Yeah, we are. So that's going to be a fun one.
Why?
You didn't hear about the rumors?
No, I think he already covered it.
I was going to say, I thought you did too.
Oh, the evil parents thing. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, no, not that. No. Like a little bit more gossipy. Basically, Pattinson and Nail and Catwoman on the hood of the Batmobile.
I haven't covered this.
Oh, you didn't hear about this?
No. What?
Oh, I guess. Oh, here's the thing: is I thought it was bullshit when I first heard about it, but then somebody said something to me about it independently. So I'm like, maybe there's something to this. So we've been checking around a little bit into it, but. I guess this happened a little while back, but I mean, Script Doctor, I think you even said something about it once too, where I guess evidently Pattinson and what's her face who plays Catwoman,
Zoe Kravitz.
Got caught fucking on the Batmobile by Reeves and a couple of crew members.
One absolute.
Well, it gets worse because
he's gone up in my books now.
Well, what's worse is this. Okay, first of all, that's one thing. Is like whatever that shit happens on a set. Don't get me wrong, but she was married at the time and then got divorced in December. And now we wonder why. Now rumors are going around that she's pregnant with bat babies. It really turned into a drama behind it, and I guess just Reeves just livid about the whole thing.
Honestly, I'll tell you what. He's gone up in my books, banging Zoe Kravitz on the
Batmobile.
What a legend! Do it, mate.
I'm sorry I left my love stains on the Batmobile.
Oh, dude.
All you have to think of is like Lenny Kravitz is looking down at his daughter and being like, "Really, that guy?
How are you gonna go my way?" That's probably what he's singing the whole time, anyway.
So where did you hear this? Because I haven't heard this.
I originally just heard it. It was some like. I don't even remember what website ran it, and I just went, whatever. Or somebody said it on something on a forum. I can't even remember where, but then I've heard it from like 3 or 4 different places now. So I'm like, there's got to be something to it. And somebody randomly brought it up. That again, I can't say the people's names, but like, yeah, it's just one of those things. And you may know 1 or 2 of those people, but
right,
can't say on the air. But like, yeah, it was just kind of brought up in jest, and I'm like, oh shit, that really happened, kind of thing. And you kind of hear it enough times. Again, it may not be true, but Chances are it probably is. Let's be real.
It's
This
funny,
happens.
Tom. Like you've had like a couple of like those. Oh shit! This really happened the last few days, haven't you?
Couple times here, but no, like Andre, you brought up a few times on set where people have caught doing like you could go beyond just the whole point of Pattinson himself has dated some of his past fellow actresses, like
co-stars, yeah, because he's method.
I mean, yeah, and then but like Andre's brought up instances where in the past.
He's not method enough to use the bat condom, though.
Well, that stuff has happened, including Sly himself.
Yeah. Oh man, like even Bruce Campbell talked about walking in on some extras on Army of Darkness, going at it one full costume, like zombie costume.
Well, I'm not going to say who told me the story, but supposedly there was some shenanigans going on the set of Ninja Turtles 3. Like there was actually a tent, I shit you not, where the turtles would go in. And they would get serviced by a few Teamsters.
Yes.
I shit you not.
Oh my god.
There was also
Hollywood, folks.
Yeah, there was also like a huge kerfuffle on the set of Jonah Hex, involving lead cast that were all married on their separate parts, and that was out of the trades, but it was a big ugly thing.
What a dude. Robert Pattinson.
It.
He's gone right up in my book.
I believe it.
What a legend. What an absolute legend.
I didn't at first, but now I do.
That's super cool. That's great. I thought the movie was going to be good anyway. A little bit more dubious now I heard the other rumors about his family being evil. I didn't really like that rumor. I thought that was a bit lame. But yeah. What a legend. That's cool.
No, Corey Feldman wasn't in the outfits, John Davies. He just did the voice of Donatello in part 1 and 3. He was never on the set. So no, he wouldn't. This would just be like the guys in the outfits.
The stunt guys, yeah.
Yeah.
God damn. That's
got to have like some perks for being locked up in that costume for
well, and I'm sure script can talk a little bit about, like, I'm sure like a thing is like when sometimes when you get on these sets in quotations, it's an isolated group of people in an area far enough away from stuff that like, and you spending day in, day out with these people, sex and shenanigans are bound to happen, especially if, you get a few drugs involved or alcohol, it's more than bound to happen.
Yeah. There's a number of instances between like your leading actors, but there's way more in your extras and day players because they're all just vying to be the lead actor. So they trade and talk and gossip during the downtime and form relationships and go up and do things and all in the hope that, because I was with this person, they'll recommend me on the next job type of thing. But it's like, it's all acting and talent, in which case they have no pull at all. So it's just a lot of emotions flying around. I try to stay out of those things, very much so. Because it's like, nope, don't want part of that. Bye-bye.
God damn. That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. So that kind of rounds out my main actual topics to cover. But Script, you're new here now for the stream. What I did see you pointed out that 3PO was in the chat. I've never spoke to him. He doesn't follow me on Twitter or anything like that. I've never engaged with him, so I couldn't invite him. Bit peculiar. He was actually here.
I did say something to him. He's actually at the gym, and he is saying he's listening though.
I see. Well,
so hello, Jay.
Talk to me one day, then. I guess would be the thing. And then you can get invited on as well, I guess.
Jay's a good dude. Very good.
Nonsensical thing that
I mean,
but Script, what did you think of the Gina Carano interview?
Oh, I thought she held herself very well, and she came across lovely and genuine, and you just kind of like her even more after that. Some of the revelations I wasn't really too surprised by, because I know a lot of Disney practices are pretty horrible and trite. But no, I think when the Disney stuff aside, the rest of the things she talked about her fighting career, about her time on American Gladiators, and not wanting to like upset the fellow person she was auditioning with, and all that stuff, it just makes you like her even more. I thought it was a great interview. I mean, I thought she was great. I thought some of the questions Ben Shapiro asked were like leading questions.
This is what we said. We got called like Ben Shapiro haters or something like that.
No, I think it was very strategic what was put out there and what wasn't.
Yeah.
And there's people even questioning if this isn't the end of the interview, because I guess the way it's posted on the site, it says part 1. And some people don't know if that's
the rest of it was viewer questions, if I remember right.
No. Like, this is like, yeah, that I don't know, but like, yeah, I have no idea, because we have the full subscription to it, and it just says part 1. So I don't know if there's a much longer part 2 coming yet.
You've got a subscription to Daily Wire.
Yeah, we did.
So
Yeah.
so you saw the viewer questions then, was it?
Yeah, there wasn't anything that special at the end. It was just more or less them talking. Like, they show almost the entire interview on YouTube. Like,
yeah, that's what I thought.
There was just like an extra 3 minutes of shit at the end, and it wasn't really anything, like mind blowing. There wasn't anything hidden in it, really.
Yeah. There was no reveals in the.
No. It was just like a few things about like what they wanted to do with the studio and their ideas and shit. Yeah.
So, okay, yeah. I mean, you're right there. Script like that. That's kind of what we were saying. That a lot of it was leading, but also wasn't that. His questions could have been better. Like, he could have actually dived deep a bit more.
Well, for someone who went to law school, he's not very good at getting to the point of his questions, and I know that from also his interviews and his other top lines of topic, and also he was painting a lot of his own opinions onto Gina without Gina actually confirming or making own statements herself, which I think is very poor tactic. Yeah, very poor tactic, because I'm pretty sure she's a balance between various spectrums of the
I thought she did. So I said she came across as a centrist, really. That's what I've always thought of her as, anyway. But
she
yeah,
just started voting last year. Yeah, she just started voting last year. She's very fresh to this, so I don't even think she has a proper definition of what her political leanings are yet entirely.
Yeah,
she just wants to be helpful to other people, good, welcoming, all that type of stuff. The generals of a person who's just kind of understanding the craziness of a representative world.
No, what I was saying is also, like, as we said before, where I thought that he failed the most was in not asking follow-up questions. Like, she said something that was clearly inviting to be explored further, and he just moved straight on to the next. And I thought that was very weak. In addition to, like, as you say, Script, that he basically did a lot of opinionating for her, like, you are conservative, and this is why you were punished. And like, she didn't like really object or anything or anything, but like, he affirmed things for her and really like locked her in with, which I think was deliberate. That like he really tied her in with like the conservative movement, which
it's like he's trying to brand her with the Daily Wire stuff. And don't get anyone wrong, even though he's creating this alternative to the business, he still has his own agenda. It just might not be as vicious as what we've seen on the
and I don't really see anything wrong with it either, because it's no different to me than getting a movie star to be your main attraction for like a series or what have you. Like, you can't fault them for that, and I'm sure she's well aware of this. I'm sure she knows this, but she knows that the trade-off is she doesn't have to sell her soul to the devil, and at the same time she's going to have a lot more creative freedom, and she doesn't really need this. And if anything, they're digging in the press trying to find shit to hang on her. All it really did was show that she doesn't really need these motherfuckers.
Well, so correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't she say something about, she went to Vegas and had a drug addiction or something like that, and then MMA was her new addiction? Am I right in saying that?
I don't know if she said anything about having a drug addiction. I know she had friends that had drug addictions, and she had some friends that got killed and stuff. I don't know.
But she did say that but MMA became my new addiction.
Yeah, it became her new addiction. Yeah. That she did say. I don't remember. I'd have to re-listen to the other part though, because I don't remember saying that, because they would have jumped all over that shit.
But they tend not to. If someone I don't know if it was well known. It might be well known in the MMA world. You see, like that's. Why
I think they mentioned something about steroids, but she didn't ever say anything about being addicted to them. I don't think, but I thought they brought him up once or something about whatever. But
okay. I mean, the chat will probably.
I don't remember anything specific about
narcotics. I don't really remember her bringing up that. I mean,
it was just that phrase. It became my new addiction. I was like, oh, okay, what's going on here then? But no, I was a long
Well, I think
interview.
she was getting, at least, yeah, from what I gathered from it. And again, I'd have to re-listen to that portion, but it sounded to me like, yeah, because Dave said she was so addicted to fighting, because she even brought up the point where she had gotten in other fights before.
Oh, maybe that was it then.
So then she found direction with MMA, is what I'm thinking she was getting at.
Marshmallow says chances of her coming on here, like none. Like she won't be. She won't ever come on here. Don't be so ridiculous, dude. Come on now. She doesn't know who I am. Yeah, no, she won't come on here. Not at all. I'd like to. It'd be nice to have a conversation with her. Again, she just seems like a normal, nice person.
I could ask her, but I wouldn't. I'm not going
No,
to.
don't
She's
bother.
got a lot more important people to talk to if she wanted to. And, you know, if she wanted to talk to us, she's more, you know, I know she'd reach out. So,
Yeah.
and again, I think that's another thing with this early interview to kind of touch on that again is I think they all know that the spotlight's going to be on this for now. And they kind of probably knew that like THR was going to steal the thunder on them or something like that. Because how else would they have gotten it if they wouldn't have given them the interview early? Like, that's the thing. Like, I'm sure they knew what they were up to on this one. This one was just to generate enough interest to get people to go there. The next one, I think, is the one that's going to have.
True. That's probably the subscriber gain.
Get it? Yes.
Payoff.
Yeah,
And
Shapiro's not dumb. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, he's not stupid. He knows what he's up to, I think. And I can kind of see the game he's playing.
Yeah. True.
Shapiro is a very intelligent man.
Very savvy,
yeah. So he might not be the greatest of interviewer, but not everyone can be. But he's very clever. So I absolutely think that he has a strategy in place there.
I think you guys were right about the whole building of Gina as a part of this brand. I think she is going to be their big, you know, like kind of how Schwarzenegger was to Cannon back in the day for a while and stuff like that, and those guys,
I think you mean for the Laurentiis.
De Laurentiis, I meant. Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah. Because I stopped myself. I knew I meant the other one. You know, just kind of like, this is our guy. We're going to get behind this guy. You know, this is. I think that's what they're doing with her. And same thing with Dallas. What's his last name? Andre, please help me out here.
Dallas Sonnier.
Sonnier, yeah.
Oh, the producer, yeah.
Yeah, he's the one who's going to be heading up their entire production wing. So, like that's something that I emphasized in my editorial that we put up earlier today. Is that many people are like commenting on like how it's easier to make a movie, and they have an experienced producer. They have Dallas Sonnier. So look at Bone Tomahawk. That's like the general level that you can expect, because that's the kind of movie that he would make. And he knows how to assemble a movie. He knows which resources are required, which people are required. So there's going to be good, polished movies, and they have someone experienced who knows how to do this. That's going to do it for them. So Dallas Sonnier is actually the most important guy in their entire division right now.
And I haven't seen that movie yet, but I do have it on 4K, and as soon as I can afford a new TV, it will be one of the first things I watch. And I have a feeling that a lot of the actors that were in that movie and that have worked with him may work with him in the future.
Yeah.
That movie might give you a couple of nightmares, Tom. Yeah. Very good movie, but might give you a couple of nightmares.
What are you talking to? I love Freddy Krueger, man.
I know.
I grew up with him like a teddy bear.
But script, we mentioned Sonnier, and you lit up instantly. What can you tell us about Sonnier?
He's a very good planner and organizer. Like, for a producer, that's kind of what you want. Like he knows how to cross his T's and dot his I's, so to speak. But yeah, like I'm familiar with his work. I mean, I like him a lot from Bone Tomahawk, and I think he did another film. It didn't get distribution, did it? Maybe.
He did this run, hide, fight thing.
Yes, that's the one.
That's the first movie coming out of.
It did get distribution. The Daily Wire picked it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, really? Okay. I did not know that.
Like, many people think that that's the first movie that they made is Run, Hide, Fight, but of course they only picked it up. But that is how they got David Sonnier, because they saw this movie. No one else in the industry wanted it. They saw, this is for us. And that is when the relationship between them and David Sonnier began.
And if I'm not mistaken, since we have the subscription, I think we're supposed to be able to watch that movie if it's not there yet. It's supposed to be coming there, isn't it?
It is there yet. It's already there.
So we'll probably review it, I bet.
Oh, we will, absolutely.
I was going to say, but I want to keep going Tomahawk first. So
yeah, just real quick, Jack says companies can do what they want, but the danger is big tech power grabs, especially Disney, are drifting more to the far left and becoming radicalized.
Well, that was that quote I was sharing earlier. Is that it's clear that they are. They are.
Well,
100%.
they are literally catering and appeasing the
Exactly.
left. They don't anything that offends them. That's what they want to avoid, but they don't care about anything. They are highly partisan. It's like dealing with a child, like a child that just like throws its toys out the pram. You need to just please it with whatever. It's like, yes, fine, you can have your treats. Like
Very
that's how
much
they're treating the left. It's very strange, very condescending.
I've heard a lot of people compare it to Mean Girls. It's very cliquish, or however you say the word.
Yeah.
Hollywood is nothing but cliques. It's got its own circles all over the place. Some of them overlap, some of them don't.
Yeah, there's mafias, and we shit you not to actually have the. And I'm not even going to say
You
their
mean the
name.
Velvet Mafia?
No, well, I'm not going to say some of the other ones because they will come after us.
Well, only if you threaten them.
I don't care. If you just mention them by name, sometimes they will. I've been warned not to even say that.
Like right now, like Disney's the powerhouse in Hollywood. They are technically claiming to be Hollywood right now. All the other studios, they're kind of doing their own thing underneath the perception of what Disney's doing, just to try and stay within the game. But the moment you get another studio or another big film that doesn't toe the line and pulls in the opposite direction, for instance, like what Warner Brothers did with Joker last year, it can do a little bit, or not last year, like the year before, I guess, really, because it was.
Yeah, it was 2019 now, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2019. Yeah, because that movie really pulled things in the opposite direction. If there wasn't this lockdown situation, more productions would probably be going a little bit there and kind of taking the wind out of Disney's sails on their own agenda, because all these other movies with a bit more thought and action and driven stories that weren't so polarizing would probably be the big talk of the town. But because so much of the content has been removed and the stuff that we get is going to streaming and not getting full advertising and whatnot, yeah, you're left talking about the one company that's got enough of a financial backing, enough influence to just dominate the narrative, and that's Disney. I mean, how often, aside from the Snyder Cut, how often are we talking about Paramount or Sony or Universal and all those other studios? By comparison, they're the ones that are in charge at the moment.
Yeah, what's happening with Lionsgate, for instance?
Well, they're small enough, probably they can stay under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, they have a couple of franchise deals, and I think they're going to try and reboot Power Rangers again.
I heard a few things about that.
Yeah.
But they actually were outgrossing Sony and Paramount the last couple of years here in a row, I think.
Yeah, it's because they don't. They don't make like a lot of films. They make smaller films.
But especially because of things like John Wick.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
They're better at balancing their budgets. I would say Blumhouse is probably the one that's the most profitable based on how much they spend.
Well, that's because they just put out the cheapest shit ever and just
pretty much
constant crap that they churn out.
Well, and not to jump back,
sick of fucking Blumhouse nowadays. You need A24 or some of the indie horror studios in the UK to come up, because Blumhouse is just trash.
Blumhouse is just Miramax or Dimension 2.0 is all they are.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
They are.
He's got a good formula though. Like he's able, like they're able to make their success and their money, and that's a good thing right now because it's against.
Well, they make their movies just like Dimension used to. They film a bunch of movies, they put them on the shelf, they wait for these young actors to make a big movie. Then as soon as that big movie comes out, they release that movie. That's what Blumhouse does. So they got this really hot actor who in a cheap ass horror movie, and they throw it out there and do that. But no, like to go back to the whole Snyder Cut business, like that's the whole thing with this is like some of these smaller companies now, because I got a bunch of like emails and messages right after they announced what is with all these movies getting pushed to next year and shit. It's like, well, of course it was going to happen because anybody outside of Warner Brothers, because HBO Max has hijacked their slate for the next year. And I've pointed that out to people. It's like, I really still feel strongly outside of maybe just like Dune, perhaps, and Wonder Woman 84 would have been the only, and maybe Kong. But I don't know. They still would have probably thought about putting them on, even if the theaters were open, because they had to get HBO Max up and running. It is not doing well for them. And it's getting better, but like, I believe that the whole thing is these other studios, they got the bailout. That's why it happened right after all that stuff happened. They're like, okay, they got a big breath of relief. That's why they pushed all these movies out. That's where Bond is like, now we can do our reshoots, even though they're trying to do it under the guise of the other bullshit. Like like that's what this is. And in movies like Ghostbusters and stuff that aren't attached to anything that's hanging out there, like they'll probably better off putting as much distance between themselves in 2016 as they can. They'll wait on Ghostbusters as long as they can if they have to, because they'll wait for the theaters to be
Didn't
open.
they just release a new trailer? I thought.
No, not for a while ago. Unless it came out today and I didn't know about it while we were on the air.
Oh, there was a trailer. Well, I could be mistaken.
That was a few months ago when they were going to release it, but then they pushed it back again. But like Ghostbusters, they'll sit on. Black Widow is something they got to get out. Like Disney, on the other hand, is kind of in the same position as HBO. They're going to balance their stuff out a little better. But Sony, Paramount, Lionsgate, all these companies that don't have direct streaming services, including Paramount, even though they do, they can't afford not to have the theaters. They can't afford to make the movies like they used to without theaters being open everywhere. Because they're never going to be able to make this kind of money again. Otherwise, it's just the way it is.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, where it goes. And I think touching on things like the Daily Wire and what they're doing, I think will definitely cause a small rift to occur anyway, because build it and they will come, right? If Hollywood has been incessantly partisan and saying we don't want to cater to you, it's like, well, people will eventually just go, well, no, see you later, then don't worry about it.
Oh, well, there's going to be some apprehension on the Daily Wire stuff for a while. But if Gina's first movie does well, that will open a few more doors. And if their next movie does well, it'll open a few more. And as long as they're able to stay true to that and stay true to their own convictions about, freedom of expression, free to tell the stories they want to tell, and they don't try to, put in their own angle of an agenda in the opposite way of what Hollywood has.
That's what I don't want that. I don't want, like a movie about killing lefties or some crap.
I don't think they will. I really don't.
It's boring. It's just lazy as well. Like
Andre pointed out in his editorial and stuff, like, I'm sure all the media and the critics are going to try and claim and find every little right-wing thing they can in these movies. And that's what I think the hardest thing they can do is avoid any politics whatsoever. And I think they will for the most part. Because, I mean, if you listen to Ben Shapiro talk about the Star Wars movies, he feels the same way about them most of us do. Get your damn politics out of there and just tell us a good Star Wars movie.
Yeah. It makes sense. We're going to have to wrap it up here now. I know it's late for you, Andre. It's getting late for me here as well. My back is absolutely wrecked and I'm a very tired doggo. So where can people find you all? Script?
You can find me on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD. I also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/ScriptDoctor, where I break down and analyze television shows and movies. So check on that out. And if you enjoy, feel free to subscribe.
Perfect. Tom, Andre?
Well, you can find us both over at Midnight's Edge, where we do complementary content to what you're used to from Mr. H. Did an editorial earlier today about exactly what to expect from the Daily Wire's production wing. So, do check that out.
Yeah, please do, ladies and gents. And if you want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, it is literally at Mr. H Reviews. I'm trying to get my Instagram up these days. That's what all the kids like. So follow me on Instagram. You can see doggo pictures and shit like that. But thank you all so much for joining. This is the round table. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Generally speaking, have a good array of people coming on. So check it out. It's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 9 p.m. GMT. So stay tuned. But thank you all so much for joining, ladies and gents, and we will catch you Wednesday.